So just sucks. I'm in misery right now.
I love your hat, Paul. I wish I could pull off hats. I can't. I'm too tall. I'm too skinny. I look like a dork in hats. Plus, hats give me a headache. But that is a good-looking hat on you, and I'm jealous. And it goes well with the frames. You got a good look today. I like. Paul Cross is looking hot today. He's bringing the heat. Look at this guy right here. Come on. Look at that. Getting myself psyched up for the show.
Good afternoon, 5:01 here at WDBO. Our top story, Hunter Biden's attorneys are pushing to keep part of a plea deal they reached with the prosecutor whose new status as special counsel intensified the tax investigation into the president's son ahead of the 2024 election. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre insists there have been no preferential treatment of the president's son.
The Department of Justice is independent. That is what the president believes. He believes that this White House will not politicize the Department of Justice.
A plea deal that would have protected Hunter Biden from gun and tax violation charges collapsed last month. Mr. Biden has now pleaded not guilty to those charges. Well, we're following reports of an accident between two airboats at Wild, Florida. 13 injuries have been reported so far. They confirmed 30 people were involved in the crash, 28 passengers and 2 captains. And 2 people were airlifted to a hospital. 9 were transported by ambulance. The rest declined medical attention. Wild, Florida will be releasing a statement soon, but no other details have been released so far. The 5th annual WDBO Make-A-Wish Wish-a-thon is coming up. It's happening Friday, August 25th. You can join Joe Kelley as he broadcasts live for this one-day Wish-a-thon event at Urban Air Adventure Park near Cranes Roost Park in Altamont Springs from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. A special thanks to City Kia of Greater Orlando. Open up that WDBO app right now. Tap the Make-A-Wish button for the Wish-a-thon details and to donate. 5:02 here at WDBO.
Hi, Mark. Hi, Frank. Hi, Brian. Hi, Cindy.
Hi, friends.
Psyching myself up.
Woo! Woo!
I'm tired today. I don't know why. Are y'all tired today? I am so tired. I think the rain, the heat, between the heat and the rain is just like wearing me out. So the heat is just unbearable. And I'm like, ugh. I had caffeine today. Very rare. I had caffeine today. So, because I needed something to perk me up. I've been so tired all day. Just been dragging. I changed the toner in the printer. Just thought you guys would like to know that. I am capable of changing my own toner. Bet you guys would like to know that. Did you guys have a good weekend? Good. I'm glad to hear that. I've got all kinds of problems. I really need to see some sort of psychiatric help or something like that, right? I saw Oppenheimer yesterday. That's 3 hours I won't get back. Somewhere over the rainbow. You know the Hawaiian guy that sings that song with the Hawaiian version? I've got that stuck in my head right now because I was listening to it earlier. I love that song. I love the way that what's that Hawaiian guy's name? It's got like one letter name, like S or is or something like that is his name. It's a great song. Laurel, can you hear me? Hi, Karen.
WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580. Triple Team Traffic.
Well, the good news is those wrecks that we had on the 408 are both cleared, but we're still seeing lots of brake lights this afternoon. I-4 westbound beginning around Parr and heading on to the 408 eastbound ramp. I-4 eastbound heavy from OBT to Amelia and then against bunched up again from Parr to Lee. We have a wreck out in the Bithlow area. This is on Colonial westbound at Chuliota Road. All lanes are shut down there. Having tech issues? No worries. Visit Refresh Computers, Central Florida's budget computer store. Visit Refresh Computers in Longwood or at refreshcomputers.net. From the WDBO Triple Team Traffic Center, I'm Paul Cry.
Local news, national news, even feel-good news, delivering the topics that are relevant to you.
That's why I listen to Joe. He covers it all.
The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO.
And talk about The Blind Side. Didn't see this one coming. So you've seen the movie The Blind Side. It's the story of former NFL star Michael Oher. And it was the subject of a book and a movie called The Blind Side. It starred the woman from that thing, Sandra Bullock. Sandra Bullock played the role of Leanne Toohey. Is that her name, Leanne? Yeah, Leanne Toohey. And now Michael Oher, former NFL star Michael Oher, is suing the Toohey family that took him in. And before you jump to conclusions here, let me get through the whole story, and you might see that Michael Oher has a pretty good argument here. Michael Oher alleges that the couple who took him in as a teenager misled him into believing that they were adopting him. Instead, they placed him in a conservatorship. According to the filing that has been filed in Shelby County Court in Tennessee, it reads, the lie of Michael's adoption is one upon which the co-conservators, Leanne Toohey and Sean Toohey, have enriched themselves at the expense of their ward, the undersigned Michael Oher. Evidently, the Tooheys told Michael Oher that they were going to adopt him, but they didn't adopt him. They instead signed him into a conservatorship, and they took away all of his rights. The Tooheys negotiated a deal with 20th Century Fox that left Michael Oher without any payment whatsoever for the rights of his name, likeness, and life story. That the Toohey family received a contract price of $225,000 plus 2.5% of the film's net proceeds. Well, the film has grossed over $300 million. I did the math. Well, actually, I have to be honest with you guys. I had Google do the math, and the movie's made $300 million. That means the Tooheys have made $7.5 million. $7.5 million the Tooheys have made off of Michael Oher. A $200,000 donation was also made to Leanne Toohey's charitable foundation from 20th Century Fox. Oher made no money whatsoever off the film, according to the petition, which was released after he completed his college career, and it wouldn't have impacted his NCAA eligibility. Oher was a ward of the state of Tennessee at the age of 11 and homeless as a child. According to the filing, where other parents of Michael's classmates saw Michael simply as a nice kid in need, conservators Sean Toohey and Leanne Toohey saw something else: a gullible young man whose athletic talent could be exploited for their own benefit. Michael Oher, in the filing, alleges that the summer before his senior year, after he became a legal adult in July 2004, the Tooheys offered him a place to live with their family in their home. The couple said that they would legally adopt him, and Oher believed them. Oher only learned in February that documents that he was asked to sign by the Tooheys, under the belief it was part of the adoption process, were actually conservatorship papers that would strip away all of his legal rights. So Michael Oher clearly made a mistake by not having a lawyer present at the signing of this, but Michael Oher understandably, believed in the Tuohys. Michael Oher really wasn't in a position to hire a lawyer. The Tuohys allegedly told him that because he was no longer a minor, the adoption paperwork was titled a conservatorship. At no point did the Tuohys inform Michael they would have ultimate control over all of his contracts. And as a result, Michael did not understand that the conservatorship was granted. He was signing away his right to contract for himself.
I will no longer look at Sandra Bullock and Tim McGraw the same way again because they played his mom and dad.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a good movie. I mean, it was an inspiring movie, but evidently it wasn't quite as inspiring. The conservatorship was granted until Oher reached the age of 25 or until the court terminated his order. But the arrangement was never terminated, not even when he hit 25. In addition to seeking termination from the conservatorship, Oher's petition requests the court issue an injunction barring the Tuohys from using his name and likeness moving forward. You know, and there's clearly two arguments here. There's two arguments that the Tuohys saved Michael Oher from a life on the streets. The Tuohys saved Michael Oher from a life of homelessness. The Tuohys saved Michael Oher from what would have been certainly an early death of his life. Of course, the other side of that is the Tuohys really, really took advantage of what was then at the time a young man who was in need. And that is
so you might
shameful.
say they blindsided him.
That's right. That's how I started this. It's a different kind of blindside. You could come out with a new movie and still call it The Blind Side, but it be about the conservatorship versus being adopted.
Do you really believe though that they had that from the very, very beginning that they were going to do this? This was their ultimate plan.
I don't know.
Doesn't that just seem like it would be so far-fetched to do that?
Evil,
but I guess it happens.
Evil, maniacal, rotten, terrible. I mean, yes, it's all of those things. Could it have started with the best of intentions? Sure, I suppose. But to think that Michael Oher, and yes, Michael Oher made some money in the NFL, but to think that Michael Oher didn't get a dime from the movie or anything else, I mean, that is just reprehensible to me. I'm told that Michael's little brother works for the UCF football program. He is the director of football operations, SJ Tuohy. And that, that's great. But I feel for Michael Oher here. I mean, the Tuohy family made $7.5 million off of the movie The Blind Side. Michael Tuohy made $0 off of The Blind Side. What do you guys make of this? 844-580-WDBO. It's 844-580-9326. I'll do it slower. 844-580-9326. Or use the open mic in the WDBO app. And I see both sides. I see the Tuohys as I see the Tuohys as someone who took advantage of a young man who didn't know better. And I see the Tuohys as someone who probably saved a young man from a life on the streets and a life of early death, a life of incarceration, a life of terrible things. So I think there's an element that the Tuohys could still be thanked, but shame on them. And even as Michael Tuohy files this petition, the Tuohys ought to step forward. If this is true, if what Michael Oher is alleging is true, then the Tuohys ought to step forward and say, you know what? We're going to make this good. We're going to make good on this. Because I've seen all the images, the photographs of the real life Tuohys posing with Michael Oher, during his NFL days and everything else, posing with him out on the field and seemingly taking care of him. But it just seems, this just rubs me the wrong way. You know how I feel about charity work.
Michael Oher made $34.17 million in his NFL career.
Yeah, which is great.
Do you think the Tuohys saw any of that money? Do you think that they were acting as his agent? Because I don't know that. But do you think that he shared his wealth with them? Or do you think that it just basically was, one-sided here on the movie deal?
Should he have had to share his wealth with them?
No.
Yeah.
That's his living. He made that. You could take care of mom and dad if you want, but he is not obligated to do anything for them.
I agree. Especially knowing what we think we know now. I mean, if in fact Michael Oher didn't make any of that money from the movie, and if in fact Michael Oher was not adopted after being told that he was going to be adopted. 844-580-WDBO. Let's go to Felix joining us in Kissimmee. Hey, Felix, how are you, sir?
I am good. How about yourself?
Good.
So my comment is about the whole contracting thing as far as the conservatorship, what can you guys call it? I mean, is there a reason why they had to extend it to 25 and not 18? If that would have been me, I would have just basically adopted them, or if I would have had the choice of not adoption, but the conservatorship, I would have pulled it all the way to 18, and then once he's a legal adult, have him make the decisions afterwards.
Right.
It'll be his money, no?
That's how it should. That's how it should have been. Yes. But according to Michael Oher, that's not how it was. What Michael Oher alleges, and Paul, you've been doing some research on this. How old is Michael Oher today? Hang on. Hey Google, how old is football player Michael Oher?
Michael Oher is 37 years old.
Okay, so he's 37 today. Hey Google, stop.
And the second count. So the second count on that is that so it would have been to 25, but it didn't stop. So that's 2 flocks so far.
Right. So what he's alleging is that at the age of 37, he's still under the conservatorship of the Tuohys, which reminds me of, Britney Spears. I mean, Britney Spears was held in a conservatorship. She couldn't make her own decisions. I mean, does that mean that Michael Oher wasn't able to make his own decisions? And that goes back to what Paul Cross asked. And that is, did the Tuohys have something to do with his NFL contract negotiations? And if so, did they make a percentage off of his NFL profits? I mean, that would be even grotesquely more inappropriate. But I don't see it here in their filing, so that makes me think that that's probably not the case.
Yeah, it's not like you can say that he's some kind of, has some kind of mental illness or something that prevents him from doing those decisions.
Right,
so,
right. Yeah, right. It's absolutely one thing if he suffered from a mental illness or something like that, or if he was otherwise incapacitated and couldn't make decisions for himself. But that doesn't appear to be the case here. I mean, I know that in the movie, he came off as a bit of a simpleton. But obviously the guy is smart enough, to be able to get into the NFL and to be able to do, what he was able to do and to earn the kind of money that he earned in the NFL. I'm Joe Kelley. You can join us now at 844-580-WDBO. It's 844-580-9326. You can use the open mic in the WDBO app. The headlines, the stories that you missed today while you're at the office. We got that for you coming up next.
Now, WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580. Triple Team Traffic.
Got a pretty serious wreck now in the Bethlo area. It's Colonial westbound at Chuliota Road. It's right now blocking all of those westbound lanes on Colonial, and one eastbound left lane is closed there as well. We also have a wreck on Goldenrod at University, as well as a lot of other delays into downtown I-4 westbound and through downtown on the eastbound side. This report sponsored by Bravo Supermarkets, where every aisle leads home. Bravo Supermarkets, feed your families. Families from all cultures and neighborhoods. Thank you for making them a part of that. Keep shopping locally with them at the store or online, bravosupermarkets.com. From the WDBO Triple Team Traffic Center, I'm Paul Cross.
Now,
Another controversial immigrant relief center is set to open this week in New York City. The shelter site is on state-owned land on a parking lot and can serve up to 1,000 single adult men seeking asylum. Hundreds of residents in the area came out to protest the shelter this weekend as the city's immigrant crisis continues.
Two.
The FBI says it's arrested a 17-year-old supporter of Islamic extremists in Philadelphia who was allegedly radicalized online and was choosing potential targets. The suspect was arrested on today, I should say, on charges and is alleged to have been communicating with the group KTG, a group that was designated as a global terrorist organization last year.
One.
The death toll from the wildfire in Hawaii is nearing 100. State officials say about 2,700 structures are destroyed, most of them homes. FEMA estimates the damage total at $5.6 billion. Hi, Terry. Thank you for joining us. I think he's American born, Michael, the 17-year-old. I think he's just a 17-year-old that got on some weird terrorist sites and they brainwashed him. And yeah, monitor what your kids are doing online, you know? A heads up, I will not be with you all tomorrow. My husband is having a medical procedure. So I'm taking the day off to take him and help him. If you're the praying type, say a prayer for him that everything goes well, please. But everything should. It's pretty routine. So, but I'll be back with you on Wednesday. Thank you. Ha, not yet, Chris. Not yet. He says it's in his future. Since we already have the 20-year-old and the 14-year-old. But not yet. Brian, I tried to take a half day and my boss was like, nah, just take the whole day. So, okay. I tried to be here. Thank you, Cindy. Yeah, Michael, I agree with you. People need to be careful. It's like when they post pictures that they're on vacation, you're like, don't do that. Wait until you're home, you know? Don't let people know you're gone out of your house.
Well, I don't like looking up and seeing Laura Lee, you'll be missed. But I see the context now. So at first I'm like, wait, what? What did I miss?
Surprise! No, just tomorrow. Then I'll be back. And thank you, Karen. That's sweet.
I hope everything goes well with Alex.
Thank you, Paul. That's
It's
very
always
sweet.
scary. Is he getting put under?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's always scary.
Yeah, it's always a little nerve
But
wracking.
it should be fine. It'll be fine.
Yeah, I believe so too. So
I don't mind going through that stuff at all. I don't mind it. I mean, I'm never like afraid to do it, but so many people are.
So you
My
asked
wife
who's running the
is-
soundboard tomorrow. For what it's worth, Michael, Laurel does not typically run the soundboard. Laurel runs her news board, but she doesn't run the soundboard. But who is filling in for you? Is it Nicole?
well, I run the soundboard for this stream a little bit.
Correct.
But yeah, Nicole is going to be filling in. So
Oh, that could be problematic then as far as running the soundboard for the stream.
Sorry about that.
well,
So no
you don't-
camera. She won't be on camera, right? She doesn't like to be on camera.
Yeah, as long as you and Paul keep your mics on.
Thank you for joining us here. It's the Joe Kelley Show on WDBO. All right, while you're at work today, here are the stories that you missed. We got a number of stories that you missed today. 7 hours ago, it was reported that rapper Magoo has died. He was 50 years old. Magoo is best known for his longtime collaboration with Timbaland in the rap duo Timbaland and Magoo. Laurel, you're our rap aficionado. Do you know any songs by Magoo and Timbaland?
I honestly have never heard of that
Magoo?
Gentleman, no.
I'm told he has very thick glasses and has a closet that is full of a whole lot of stuff that comes crashing out when you open the closet.
Does he have the chicken franchise too?
Is there a Magoo's chicken?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I got that, Joe. I did get that reference.
Thank you, Paul Cross. I figured you would, if anybody would.
Oh, Mr. Magoo, you've done it again.
Right. 5 hours ago, Associated Press reported that, get this, 6 white former Mississippi cops plead guilty to state charges today for torturing 2 black men in a racist assault. All 6 had previously admitted their guilt in a connected federal civil rights case. AP, this one is going to be really interesting to watch. Associated Press 3 hours ago reported that a Montana judge has sided with young activists who say that state agencies are violating their right to a clean environment by permitting fossil fuel development without considering its effect on the climate. Ew. Well, that is going to be an interesting case to watch. 3 hours ago, Newsmax reported that the U.S. state of Georgia appears set to charge Donald Trump with a variety of charges, including racketeering, conspiracy, and false statements. That, according to a 2-page docket report that was posted to the Fulton County Court's website. In fact, it's interesting. They posted it to the website. They already had the grand jury results before the grand jury actually voted on it, which is rather curious. And then lastly, Fox News reported 3 hours ago that the suspected Gilgo Beach serial killer Rex Heuermann has been taken off the jail's suicide watch. Oh, that's a good idea. What could possibly go wrong taking the guy off of suicide watch? And then today around noon, 12:15 to be exact, a crash of 2 airboats out at Wild, Florida in Osceola County. I'll tell you that I have been on 1 airboat in my life, and it was out at Wild, Florida, and we had a great time doing it. But I will tell you that much like a roller coaster, you do it knowing that it's going to be a bit scary because it's very, very loud. It goes very, very fast. Laurel and Paul, have you guys ever done an airboat ride before?
No, I've always wanted to, but I've never done one.
Yeah, so I did it out at Wild, Florida, and as I said, it was really enjoyable and fun. But I can certainly see how 2 boats could potentially collide because they often do run close to each other. The boats are pretty agile. They're able to turn pretty quick. They're able to speed up and slow down pretty quick. But 2 airboats collided. There were a total of 30 people aboard the 2 boats. That's 2 captains and 28 passengers. A number of them were transported to the hospital. Others said that they had declined treatment. Some 17 people declined treatment. The Coast Guard is investigating the crash as it involves commercial vehicles. Even though they're passenger vehicles, those are, in fact, commercial vehicles, much like a ferry is a commercial vehicle, and the Coast Guard will investigate. A lot of people are surprised when they find out that Coast Guards have jurisdiction on local lakes and rivers and stuff like that, but they, in fact, do. They don't just guard the coast. They are effectively our water federal law enforcement officials. So there you have it. That's what we have seen in the news today. We're talking about Michael Oher and a new lawsuit filed by former NFL star Michael Oher that says that his adoption by the Toohey family was a lie and that he was cut out of money from the movie.
Tim McGraw and Sandra Bullock are both registered hard left Democrat. What more do you expect? What more did you expect out of them? To lie, steal, and hurt someone.
I can't imagine what Sandra Bullock and Tim McGraw have to do with this other than they played him in the movie. But it's the Toohey family, not the actors who played the Tooheys, who are the ones who are being scrutinized here. The actors, be they left or right, are irrelevant in this case.
This is WDBO.
WDBO.
107.3.
Good afternoon, 5:30 here at WDBO. Our top story, attorneys for Hunter Biden now say in a court filing today that a diversion agreement on a gun charge is valid and binding, while furthering the plea agreement on tax charges is moot after it fell apart in court. Here's ABC's Brittany Shepard.
Lawyers for the president's son now argue that the second part of his plea deal remains in effect. That diversion agreement on a felony gun charge would allow Hunter Biden to avoid prosecution if he adheres to certain terms. His attorneys say that that portion was a separate contract negotiated and entered outside the presiding judge's purview. Prosecutors have suggested that additional charges could be filed in California or Washington, D.C. But in the meantime, a judge has ordered prosecutors to respond to Biden's attorneys by noon on Tuesday. Brittany Shepard, ABC News, Washington.
While a Georgia district attorney is expected to present the case against former President Trump for alleged election interference, Trump is once again commenting on his social media platforms.
As a potential fourth indictment looms for former President Trump, he's taken to Truth Social to attack Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis. They are alleging leaks to the media and insisting he did not, as he wrote, tamper in the last election. He continues to further false claims that the election was rigged.
The former communications director for GOP presidential candidate Francis Suarez is heading to prison.
A federal judge today sentenced Rene Pedrosa to 6 years behind bars. The 51-year-old pleaded guilty in May to receiving child pornography in 2019 from a 16-year-old boy. Prosecutors say the former news reporter sexually harassed the boy during a city hall meeting where he was serving as a spokesperson for Mayor Francis Suarez, and later received explicit images of the boy. He reportedly apologized to the victim's family inside the courtroom, saying he was the adult in the room and should have done more. Nicole Diaz, WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580.
The 5th annual WDBO Make-A-Wish Wish-a-thon is coming up Friday, August 25th. Join Joe Kelley as he broadcasts live for this one-day Wish-a-thon event at Urban Air Adventure near Quince Park in Altamont Springs from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Special thanks to City Kia of Greater Orlando. Open that WDBO app now, tap the Make-A-Wish button for details and to donate. 5:32 here at WDBO.
I am so hungry. Can we start talking about what we're going to have for dinner tonight? Because I am hungry. Ooh, we're up to 19 now.
Hi, I'm Pam.
Setting records. I had spaghetti for my first lunch. I didn't have a second lunch.
Yes, Terry, that's what I do. I push a few buttons, get a snack, run to the potty. That's all I do. Nicole can handle that. It's fine.
Publix ribeye steaks, garlic, asparagus, dribbled Italian. Oh, Michael. Ah. No, second lunch. Oh.
You had caffeine for second lunch.
I had caffeine today. Yes, I have had caffeine today. On a full stomach, though. So after I ate my spaghetti is when I had the caffeine. So I talked to my son today, my oldest son, my adopted son, Joey. I interviewed him and his wife and his son, my grandson, for Make-A-Wish for the upcoming Wish-a-thon, August 25th. That was exciting talking to them. A loaded baked potato. Oh, that sounds
good.
So good. Is Publix locking up their steaks somewhere else? Are they putting locks on steaks? Beth, they're doing great. They're doing really, really good. Joey works at a prison. His wife works at a bank. Their son is doing really, really well. He's getting healthier all the time. Terry, thank you for the update on that. I was curious about the scaffolding. They're waiting for a crew to come from out of town to take the scaffolding down. Actually rhymes.
Why is it always a crew from out of town has to handle these things?
At least listeners are eating really well, aren't they? I
mean,
might
if
stop
the
on the way
crew is-
home and buy a couple potatoes just so I can have baked potatoes. Team Cole, was he a wish kid? My grandson is a wish kid, but he hasn't had his wish granted yet. They live in a very, very, very small town, Oklahoma, and they're coming here to Orlando for their wish trip. They're going to Legoland and Disney and SeaWorld and all that stuff. So they're coming to Orlando. And as fate would have it, I live in Orlando. So I am excited to be able to see my son and my grandson and my daughter-in-law when they come here. So I'll be taking a couple of days off when they're here for their wish trip. I know, Terry, you're in construction, so I think you're a good source on that. So I will give that information. Steamed shrimp. I'm excited too about them coming. I told them not to come in the hot months. I was like, don't come. And they texted me or called me and said, when should we come? And I'm like, don't come now. Wait till November, December. December is a lovely time to come to Orlando. But August is a terrible time to come to Orlando. It's only 87 right now, but it's 87 with 1,000% humidity.
Then Thursday, only 91 with a few afternoon storms once again, and we'll continue that pattern Friday. From Channel 9 Eyewitness News, I'm meteorologist George Waldenberger.
Now, WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580. Triple Team Traffic.
I-4 westbound, very heavy now through Lake Mary and then Princeton on to the 408 eastbound. And speaking of the 408 eastbound, it is very locked up from out of downtown all the way to past 436. And we have that crash in the Bithlo area. It's on Colonial. All westbound lanes of Colonial are shut down at Chuliota Road. The left lane is also closed on the eastbound side of Colonial. This report sponsored by ViStar Credit Union. ViStar Credit Union's third location now open in Winter Park. They're ready to help you reach your financial goals and life goals. Visit vistarcu.org/winterpark. Federally insured by NCUA. From the WDBO Triple Team Traffic Center, I'm Paul Cross.
This is WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580. Orlando's news and talk. Connected to our community. Talk local issues and events with Joe Kelley. Use the open mic in the WDBO app and let Joe know what interests you. The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO.
By the way, Terry in our chat room on the WDBO Facebook page, if you ever want to see the behind the scenes and join our chat room, we'd love to have you. I think we've got a record high number of people that are in the chat today. But if you ever want to see the behind the scenes, just go to the WDBO Facebook page. But there's a question there from Terry, Laurel, and it says, new headphones, Laurel? Would you care to explain why you're wearing new headphones today? Well, that's not the only new thing that you have today for someone with a sharp eye. What seems to be the problem, Laurel?
Firstly, these headphones are so flaky. They're flaking all over me.
They're terrible headphones, aren't they?
They're definitely my backup
Yes.
headphones.
Yes.
Because I got halfway through my commute this morning and went, I'm missing something important.
You forgot a bag.
I forgot my work bag
Yeah.
that has my badge to get into the building,
Right.
my headphones, my mic pillow. And I'm like, well, I guess we're playing with all my backup stuff
I'm
today.
sorry, did you call it a mic pillow?
You know, that's funny. I said that to our boss the other day, and he's like, what did you call it? So I called it the more vulgar term. And they're like, no, we like mic pillow better.
condom?
Yes.
Is that what you called it?
I called it a mic condom.
That's
yes.
not even what it's called. None of those are the proper term. It's a windscreen.
Yeah, it was what Josh said too, but nobody ever calls it that.
I call it a windscreen.
Not what I called it. And it's not what I
Besides-
called it when I asked you for it either.
Mic pillow sounds like my pillow. and a microphone condom is just that's just inappropriate.
But it's soft like a pillow.
I've heard windsock. I've heard
But a windsock is what a helicopter uses to land.
Pop filter.
Okay, a pop filter makes sense. Yes, but a windscreen.
This is the one you gave me, Joe. This one right here.
That's about a $75 piece of foam.
Yeah, and
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous how expensive the windscreens are. They're very, very expensive. Hey, do you guys remember? I'm going to jog your memory. Go all the way back to Friday. Do you guys remember Friday?
Vaguely.
A little bit.
Yeah,
On Friday, I was talking about the fire in Maui, and I was talking about Oprah Winfrey. Here, let me jog your memory. Let me go back to Friday. This is me from Friday. I also saw that Oprah, and I'm not a big fan of Oprah, but I tried to take people for their acts as they happen. You know, I call balls and strikes. Sometimes it's a ball, sometimes it's a strike. But I saw that Oprah was handing out pillows and helping people, and she was helping people with bedding and in a facility. And I thought that was kind of cool of Oprah to do that. I mean, she could have easily sent minions to go do it. And I don't think Oprah had a camera crew with her, but obviously when cameras saw her, they started shooting video of her. Okay, back here live now. I want to take back everything nice I just said about Oprah Winfrey on Friday. Oprah Winfrey did bring a camera crew with her, but thankfully the Maui County officials would not let her camera crew in. They said that the people who are in their shelters deserve amount of privacy, and they should not be subjected to Oprah Winfrey's cameras. And she and The Rock are just as bad as each other. In that they bring cameras to record their charitable work. Shame on them. They are making this about them, not about the victims. I'm just disgusted by people that do that. It is absolutely disgusting. And I don't care how much good Oprah Winfrey is doing. If you're doing it just for the cameras, you're doing it for Oprah Winfrey. You're not doing it for the people of Maui. Shame on her. And I take back everything that I almost nicely said about Oprah Winfrey. I don't think I was being nice. I was being cautious because it seemed odd that Oprah would do that without a camera crew in tow. But that's exactly what she did do. Is she had a camera crew in tow, and that's disgusting. And they should be ashamed of themselves, but they have no shame. People like Oprah and The Rock, who bring cameras to their charitable work, have no shame, and it's disgusting. And it's about self-promotion, self-aggrandization, and it is not about actually helping people who are in need. I am disgusted. Absolutely nauseated by Oprah and her actions in Maui. That's just, she owns 1,000 acres on the island, evidently. And she brought a camera crew from CBS, which I guess she's contracted to. I have no idea. I don't follow Oprah Winfrey. But officials in Hawaii are still searching for survivors. It is bad. I mean, it is beyond bad. It is the deadliest U.S. fire in modern history. It's not just Hawaii's deadliest fire. It is the deadliest fire in the United States in modern history. It surpassed the toll, of California's 2018 Camp Fire, which killed 85 people. This fire moved so ridiculously fast. The winds were gusting 81 miles an hour, and the fire spread at a rate of 1 mile every minute, destroyed 2,700 structures, and caused damages estimated at $5.6 billion. And by the way, the fire is not contained. The wildfires have displaced thousands of people. They cannot estimate how many people are still missing due to power, internet, and communication outages caused by the fire. You're going to hear a lot of people blaming global warming for the fire, but they've already been able to determine that it was the Hawaii electric provider, much like, in fact, the Camp Fire in California, which is now the second deadliest fire in the United States, was started by the power company. And that is, they've got all these power lines that run through the middle of forests. And when the wind kicks up to 81 miles an hour, sometimes the power lines will touch each other. They'll arc or they'll get knocked down. They'll arc. Either way, they arc, they cause a fire. And so now they believe that the Maui fire was caused by the power company there. Only 3% of the search area has been cleared. 3%. So they're at 96 reported deaths so far. Now, I have seen some entirely unofficial reports, and I hesitate to bring them up, but some very, very unofficial reports indicate that there could be 1,000 people that are dead. That some of the shelters that people quickly tried to huddle in also caught ablaze, and there are those who think that they're going to find, a couple hundred people gathered together in a single location that have died from this fire. I mentioned that Oprah owns 1,000 acres. To kind of put that in perspective, about 2,000 acres were burned on Maui. That, according to the Hawaii Emergency Management. Extreme winds from Hurricane Dora and drought conditions across Hawaii exacerbated the spread of the wildfires. They say now that they've got the fire 85% contained. And of the 96 victims, only two have been identified so far, as most of them are going to have to be identified through their dental work, which is terrible. They have had to bring in refrigerated trucks to be able to hold all the bodies, because it's going to take them a long time to be able to identify all of the bodies. Neither the Maui nor the Hawaii Emergency Management Agency activated warning sirens for residents. They have warning sirens that are primarily for tsunamis. The Hawaii EMA, which would be Hawaii's version of the Emergency Management Agency, said that they had activated official alerts via phone, radio, TV, and the country's opt-in resident alert system, but they didn't activate the sirens. I don't know if activating the sirens would have made a difference, but it's certainly the fires caught a lot of people off guard. Maui officials said Friday that nearly 15,000 visitors took departing flights from Maui on Thursday. About 46,000 people have flown out of Maui since Wednesday. Hawaii issued an emergency proclamation Wednesday discouraging all non-essential air travel to Maui. Laurel, you've been to Hawaii on vacation, haven't you?
I have, yeah, to the Big Island.
You didn't go to Maui.
I didn't, no, and now I'm regretting it, of course. But Paul Cross went there.
PC, you went to Maui?
My honeymoon was there in Lahaina.
In the town that is no longer in existence.
In the town that is no longer in existence, yes. We stayed at the Westin Maui, which is right up the road. And yeah, Lahaina was a beautiful little town. This was probably 26, 27 years ago. It wasn't as big as it is today, but you still had it rich in heritage, and all those people that were there had been there generations, 9, 10 generations. Yeah. So that whole town is gone, and it's very sad. But yes, I was there.
Wow.
Right there.
And there is a non-native grass that grows there. And evidently the grass, this non-native grass that grows in Maui, is very dry and highly flammable. And they're saying that's what really caused the spread of that wildfire in Maui. It's just a terrible situation. And I'm glad that there are people helping out. I hope that people are helping out because of the goodness of their hearts, not out of the Oprah Winfrey style desire to make yourself look good. It's not about you, Oprah. It's not about you, Oprah. It's about the people who lost everything in a fire in Maui, who lost lives in a fire in Maui. I'm Joe Kelley. It's 844-580-WDBO. You can use the open mic and the WDBO app.
The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO. Now, WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580. Triple Team Traffic.
Still looking at that traffic delay here through Lake Mary, I-4 westbound, and then Princeton onto the 408. Eastbound 408 still very crowded all the way to 436, and still monitoring that crash in the Bithlow area. This is on Colonial. Actually, they've got every one of the westbound lanes closed from just around County Road 13 to County Road 419. Everything shut down on that side, and then a left lane shut down on the eastbound side. It's a pretty bad time for that to happen as well because of the traffic here in the afternoon. This report sponsored by ViStar Credit Union. Their third location now open in Winter Park. They're ready to help you reach your financial goals and life goals. Visit vistarcu.org/winterpark, federally insured by NCUA. From the WDBO Triple Team Traffic Center, I'm Paul Cross.
Now the three big things.
Barbie is the #1 movie at the box office once again. The blockbuster brought in an estimated weekend gross of $33.7 million. It surpassed the $1 billion mark last week.
Two.
Wall Street's week is off to a positive start. Tech stocks were among the bright spots, with the S&P 500 and NASDAQ rebounding after weekly losses. Tesla shares fell more than 1% after the company cut prices for Model Y units in China.
One.
Hawaii's governor is warning that the death toll from the wildfire could rise by a large amount. The fire has so far claimed at least 96 lives, and Governor Josh Green warns crews could find 10 to 20 people per day, probably until they finish. Green says the wind-driven flames that tore through the town of Lahaina on the island of Maui spread at the rate of 1 mile every minute. Y'all are never late. Y'all are right on time. Thanks for joining us anyway. Nobody's ever late. Yeah, Michael, and they said that, the smoke, they would get out to run from it and the smoke would overtake them. And then they were saying that even the ocean was on fire because the ash was coming down from everything else burning. It would make a layer on the ocean and it would float on the ocean, and then more ash would fall on top of that, and that would catch on fire again. So people couldn't even run to the ocean because it was on fire, though some of them did, and they ran through the water flames, and some of them were in the water for hours because the shore was on fire. They couldn't go back. It just sounds like nightmare on earth. It's horrific. I keep seeing these TikToks of survivors telling their story, and it just makes you want to cry, man. It's awful.
And Michael Gould hit it on the head, though, when he just mentioned in the chat, too, that, you walk a mile. It takes about 13 minutes is what he said. And then you think about, you can walk, you could run. I mean, you call a 6-minute mile is really booking and doing fast. This thing was a mile a minute. There's just no way. You could not get out of the way. It's not like the lava. The lava moves very slowly, but a fire with wind behind it just whips through, and there's nothing you can do. So nobody had time. That's why they were jumping off cliffs into the ocean and everything just to save themselves. And there's no warning, no time.
Yeah, and if you aren't in peak physical shape, I mean, think about the elderly. Think about,
No, they didn't have a chance.
No, it's awful.
I did read that there are looters in Lahaina, and
what else?
There's nothing to salvage except metals. I mean, metals don't burn, and people who had gold or silver or anything else like that, metals don't burn. So
there's always somebody in a position to loot.
I honestly,
Unbelievable.
I am against the death penalty. I favor shooting on sight for looters, because that looters cause people to not want to evacuate, because people are afraid they're going to lose everything. They won't evacuate because they're afraid of looters. And we need to not have looters. And the only way to not have looters is to shoot them on sight. I think I'll mention that. Can you imagine if in California that Nordstrom's, was it Nordstrom's that had the big robbery over the weekend?
Yeah, I was just reading that. Yep.
Can you imagine if they just shot those people on sight? I mean, they're looting.
Certainly would stop it.
Yeah, it would certainly give people pause, wouldn't it?
From your point of view.
Entertaining.
Man, that guy is a lot taller than he sounds on the radio.
And engaging.
When we hear you on the radio, it's a good thing.
The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO.
By the way, remarkably and tragically, there are reports of looters in Lahaina, in Maui, which absolutely disgusts me. I am against the death penalty. I am anti-death penalty, not for snowflake reasons. I don't want to get into that right now because I've already discussed it in the past, but I don't want to go down that road at this moment. But I'm against the death penalty, but I am in favor of shooting looters on sight because of the threat of looting. I think of Florida and hurricanes. When there is an evacuation order given, there are families who don't evacuate because they're afraid of looters. They're afraid that someone is going to come in and steal all their stuff, so they don't evacuate, and then they die because they didn't evacuate because of looters. I absolutely believe that we should shoot looters on sight when they're doing something like that in Lahaina, Hawaii. How dare they loot? And by the way, there's nothing left to loot other than metals. As you know, there'd be metal, golds that would melt. There'd be silvers that would melt, or whatever, and that's pretty much all that's left to loot in the first place in Lahaina. But people are still doing it, and man, shame on those disgusting people.
Kelly, it's Mike from Orlando.
Mike,
you need to understand one thing: the environmentalists will not let the power companies trim around power lines. Oh, it's destroying forests and trees. You cannot trim around.
I don't know about that. I've seen, obviously, look at every power line that you're driving by right now. Trees are all trimmed back from the power lines. I have personally been involved with power companies that trim trees back from power lines.
The Great Chicago Fire, the most famous in American history, claimed 300 lives, destroyed some 17,000 buildings, covering almost 3.5 square miles.
Right. I know you're trying to discount me saying that the Lahaina fire is now the deadliest. As I said, it's the deadliest in U.S. modern history. Do you know when the Chicago fire was? 1871. Our means of fighting fires in 1871 is completely different than today. That just doesn't carry water to say that the Chicago fire is relevant in this discussion. I'm Joe Kelley, 844-580-WDBO.
The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO. Now, WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580. Triple Team Traffic.
I-4 westbound is now heavy a little bit here as you approach Colonial. It's gotten better on the 408 eastbound and making your way toward 436. We're still seeing lots of brake lights I-4 eastbound from Parr to Lee and then from the 417 to the bridge. ProTech Air Conditioning and Plumbing Service for honesty, integrity, and 100% customer satisfaction. Call ProTech 407-291-1644 or visit protechac.com. From the WDBO Triple Team Traffic Center, I'm Paul Cross.
WDBO Orlando, WOEX FM HD2 Orlando, W297BB Orlando.
You know how I
Powered
told
by
you guys
Talon Wealth Management. Visit Guarding Your
about this crank that calls me or that leaves open mics? I call him the crank. That was him about the Chicago fire. That was the same voice. That was the same guy. So he always tells me that he's tuning out, but he always listens. He's always listening. He's just a cranky old crank that likes to complain and likes to hear his own voice complaining. Is Paul talking at the same time I'm talking? And are we talking over each other? No, he's muted. I see. Okay,
He's talking to
muted.
Ronald.
Got it. Okay.
Laurel, can you tell Joe that it's actually
he really is
pronounced
a troll, and I save every one of his open mics, and I don't know what I'm going to do with them, but his bitter ones, I mean, his really bitter ones, I've saved every one. And one of these days, I'm going to make a super cut reel of that guy.
Hey, make sure you're pronouncing it Lahaina, not Lahaina.
Okay, am I saying it wrong? Lahaina?
Yes.
I could never live in Hawaii. I would mispronounce everything.
Good evening, 6:01 here at WDBO. Our top story, Hunter Biden's attorneys are pushing to keep part of a plea deal they reached with the prosecutors whose new status as special counsel intensified the tax investigation into the president's son ahead of the 2024 election. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre says the special counsel appointment is a continuation of an independent probe being run by a Trump-appointed U.S. attorney, and there's been no preferential treatment of the president's son.
This is consistent with what the president has been saying for a long while now, going way back to his campaign days, that he would restore the Department of Justice independence from political interference from the White House.
A plea deal that would have protected Hunter Biden from gun and tax violation charges collapsed last month. He's now pleaded not guilty to those charges. North Korea seems to be prepping for war, with the South Korean and U.S. militaries beginning major annual drills next week.
North Korean leader Kim Jong-un today vowing overwhelming military power to annihilate enemies and that the country would be ready for war. This ominous warning comes a week before annual joint military drills between the U.S. and South Korea. Field trainings are expected to be the largest in years, and the two countries will also conduct intensive computer simulated exercises. Kim Jong-un has condemned the drills as he plans to increase the country's arsenal and nuclear capabilities in retaliation of the West. In London, Alex Hogan, Fox News.
The 5th annual WDBO Make-A-Wish Wish-a-thon is coming up Friday, August 25th. Join Joe Kelley as he broadcasts live for this one-day Wish-a-thon event at Urban Air Adventure near Cranes Roost Park in Altamont Springs from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Special thanks to City Kia of Greater Orlando. Open up that WDBO app now. Tap the Make-A-Wish button for Wish-a-thon details and to donate. 6:03 here at WDBO.
That is interesting that Facebook tagged you on that, Michael. It doesn't surprise me. I wonder if the transcripts of this discussion will flag the whole video.
That would be a bummer. I hope not.
Man, am I hungry. How are you guys not hungry? How is everybody not starving right now? Because y'all are smart and you ate when it was timely. I get it.
And homemade spaghetti cooking right now.
My husband and I went to a nice restaurant yesterday because my birthday's in a week and it was my birthday dinner. But it was so warm in the restaurant that we were like, are we sweating while eating? This is horrendous.
That would be so uncomfortable. There is nothing more uncomfortable than being warm indoors. It's one thing to be outside and be hot, but if you're inside and warm, will we know the name of the restaurant?
Yeah. Well, okay. So it was the Yachtsman at Disney, which is one of our favorite restaurants.
The Oxman?
But yeah, it's the Yachtsman.
Oh,
but I think we were having
Yachtsman.
warm food.
Okay.
And there was a lot of people. And I just think ACs are having a hard time keeping up, man.
Paul is at home. Laurel has a drawer full of snacks.
I do. He won't eat my snacks, though, because he won't eat on air.
I can't eat while I'm on the air. Yeah, messes up my throat. Spaghetti, pizza, Peg. That sounds so good.
Oh my gosh, Paul. You didn't have any on Saturday and Sunday? Bless you. I'm surprised you didn't hurt somebody. I would have.
WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580. Triple Team Traffic.
Well, they just had a crash here, I-4 eastbound before the 408, making your way into downtown, but they've cleared that up. So now traffic is getting back up to speed there. It's looking a lot better now. I-4 westbound is just a little bit of the tap of the brakes here after Princeton to Colonial. I-4 eastbound and the 408 running at full speed through the downtown area. And they're still working that crash on Colonial. All westbound lanes are shut down at County Road 419. You've also got a left lane on the eastbound side that is closed. Having tech issues? No worries. Visit Refresh Computers, Central Florida's budget computer store. Visit Refresh Computers in Longwood or at refreshcomputers.net. From the WDBO Triple Team Traffic Center, I'm Paul Cross.
This is WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580. Orlando's news and talk. Breaking news to lively debates, covering the issues that matter to you.
I make it a point to listen to Joe Kelley when I need to fully understand what's happening in the news.
Now, the Joe Kelley Show on Orlando's news and talk, WDBO.
You know, I don't know how to refer to my ex-wife. I don't like the term ex-wife. It just seems so impersonal, ex-wife. And I don't like to call her my first wife, because that implies that I have a second wife, which I do, but it also implies that I could have a third wife, which I won't. So I don't like ex-wife. I don't like first wife. I don't like wife 1.0. I truly don't know what to call her.
Do you have any kids with her?
Well, yes, I have 4 kids with her, so I could call her
the mother of my children.
Okay,
some of my children.
So that's where I'm going with this story. So thank you, Paul, for helping me with that. So the mother of my children. I talked today to the oldest of my 4 children. I often mention 3 children, but I actually have 4 children because we adopted a child in the state of Texas. The mother of my children and I, when we lived in Texas, we had adopted a 10-year-old that was trapped in the state foster care program, and we adopted him. And it's tough. For anybody who adopts children, particularly when they're not newborns. It's one thing when they're newborns and they can bond with you and things go swimmingly. It's another altogether when they're 10, 11 years old. We met him when he was 10. We adopted him when he was 11. And at that point, there a lot of damage is done. A lot of damage to the psyche is done, before they're 10, 11 years old. And this poor child was raised in a terrible biological household with parents that didn't provide proper care, didn't provide a clean household. They were abusive physically and mentally and emotionally. I mean, they were terrible to him. And this poor child went through so much terrible things in his life. And we thought that we could change his trajectory and help him and make him a better child. Now, it's a very long story. Again, my goal here is to not throw anybody under a bus. My goal here is to be able to talk about our adopted son. But my then wife and I had disagreements about raising him and what to do. And then we ended up having children born to us, and we had little children in the house with what was a troubled teenage boy. And there was an incident where he punched a hole in a wall, and several incidents where he ran away. And so we became estranged basically from him. And I hated that. And it has always hurt my heart because it was never his fault. Even though he caused us great frustration, it wasn't his fault. And I knew it wasn't his fault. And so as soon as I got divorced, truly the very first thing I did was reach back out to our adopted son and establish contact with him. And I have been so happy to be able to have a conversation with him and to be able to talk to him and to be able to have a relationship with him. And I spoke with him and his wife and their son, which is my grandson, on the phone today for our Make-A-Wish fundraiser. So coming up on a week from Friday, that's how soon it's coming up. A week from Friday is our 5th annual WDBO Make-A-Wish Wish-a-thon. And my grandson, so Joey's son, was born with a heart defect. And this breaks my heart. This happened at a time in which I was estranged from him. I was not there for my son when his son was born with a heart defect. And I will always live with that pain. I will always live with that guilt. And his son is eligible for a wish from Make-A-Wish. And as fate would have it, I mean, they live in Oklahoma. And when I moved to Orlando from Tulsa, Oklahoma in 2011, when I was in Tulsa, Oklahoma, I was the chairman of the board of the Make-A-Wish Foundation for the entire state of Oklahoma. I have been a volunteer for the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and I was a one-time board member here in Central Florida for the Central and North Florida chapter of Make-A-Wish. So I've been a long-time volunteer for Make-A-Wish, and I'm a big advocate of Make-A-Wish. I love what they do. I love Make-A-Wish. I've never taken a dime from them. Everything I do is out of the bottom of my heart, and I absolutely love them, and I will always raise money for them till the day I die. I will always be an advocate for Make-A-Wish. And I had, in my rebuilding a relationship with Joey, I had said to him, hey, your son Evan is going to be eligible for a wish from Make-A-Wish because of his situation. And so I had a wonderful conversation. We spoke for about 20 minutes. I recorded it, and it's going to be part of the stories that we tell coming up a week from Friday. So you'll be able to hear the story a week from Friday here on WDBO with my son and his wife and my grandson. And I'm so excited that, and I didn't have any influence on this. I had influence. I pushed Make-A-Wish on them, if you will, but I did not push what wish. I mean, that's entirely up to Evan, my grandson. That's entirely up to him to decide what his wish is. So I had no influence on this whatsoever. But as is often the case, in fact, as is the majority of times is the case, they're coming to Orlando for their wish. And so they haven't had their wish fulfilled yet. And my daughter-in-law, is that right? Daughter-in-law. My daughter-in-law had texted me, and she's like, when is the best time to come? And I'm like, not now. Oh, don't come now. It's so hot right now. Do not come to Orlando. It's hot. And so I said, come like in November or December. And we had a lovely conversation. And so they're going to come and I hope in November, December, somewhere around that time. It's a wonderful time to come. But his wish is to go to Legoland and then ultimately to go to Disneyland, and Disney World, rather, and to SeaWorld. And I'm so excited about that. And I hope you'll join me coming up on a week from Friday. That's August 25th. We're doing it quite a bit different. If you've heard us do this in the past, we've always done it in November in the past. We decided to move it off of November and to move it to the end of August. And instead of 3 days in between our syndicated programming, as we've done it in years past, we're going to do it for 1 day And for one day, 10 hours straight, we're going to hijack the airwaves of WDBO. We are going to absolutely interrupt all of our regular programming, and we're going to do 10 straight hours of telling you these amazing stories of children who have had their wishes granted. The only child that we spoke to or will speak to is my grandson, whose wish has not been fulfilled yet. Otherwise, we only talk to children whose wishes have been fulfilled. And that'll be coming up again a week from Friday. And I hope you'll join me. This is something that's really special to me. It's something that I hope you'll help me with and get behind. But if you want to find out more information about our fundraiser, you can tap the Make-A-Wish button in the WDBO app. We already have one donation so far. The big drive doesn't start until the 25th. But if you want to get ahead of it and get early and make a donation, you can certainly do so. But our goal is to raise $60,000 in 10 hours. Now, I'm not good at math. We've already proven that time and time and time again. But how much money per hour do we have to raise if it's $60,000 in 10 hours? Paul Cross, do you know the answer to that?
No, I'm not good at math. I don't know. But you figure about $6,000 an hour, right?
Sure.
60,000 in 10
right.
hours?
Yeah, 6,000 an hour.
Yeah.
Oh boy, that's big.
But this is at Urban Air, right?
It'll be at Urban Air in Altamont Springs. There are 2 locations in Central Florida. We'll be at the Altamont Springs location.
And they don't normally open until late afternoon, but they're going to be open during the day for us, right? Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah, it's good.
Okay, because I'm going to go down there. I'm going to join you in the morning, and then I have to come do the afternoon here. But I want to come down and see you and meet people. So I'm going to come down there and do that with you in the morning.
I really appreciate that. We'll on that day, a week from Friday, we'll have our regular Orlando's Morning News with Scott and Ez. I will be on the Orlando's Morning News with Scott periodically. But then beginning at 9 a.m. all the way through 7 p.m., it'll be one nonstop, continuous Make-A-Wish broadcast. And our goal is to raise, evidently, and thank you for the math, $6,000 an hour, which honestly I think we can do. But it really is going to require that everybody help out, and I'm so much looking forward to everybody helping out when that comes up a week from Friday. Cool.
Very good.
And I had just a lovely conversation with my son, and so excited to be able to have that relationship with him again, and to be able to get to know my grandson. I mean, just to think that I have a grandson blows my mind, because people are always startled when they find out that I've got like a 34-year-old son. But when you adopt him when he's 11, that gives him a head start, right? Back when he was in school, I was always the youngest dad around. I'm like, how do you have a kid so old? You must have started really young. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Wink, wink, nod, nod. I remember one time we were at Subway, the sandwich shop, not the transportation system. We were at Subway, and the lady behind the counter at Subway looked at Joey and me and goes, "Oh my gosh, you guys are spitting images of one another." And knowing that he was adopted, he and I would just kind of elbow each other and chuckle and say, "Oh yeah," but it's not biologically mine. So anyhow, join us a week from Friday for our 5th annual WDBO Make-A-Wish Wish-a-thon. Again, more details, tap the Make-A-Wish button in the WDBO app. We'll have more information in the days to come. Someone in our chat group, Brian, says, "Can I do a kissing booth to help raise money?" Bro, you can do anything to help raise money as long as you're helping to raise money. I will take anything short of breaking the law. I don't want anybody turning tricks, no prostitution, no drug deals, nothing like that. Okay?
I'll pay money to not have to kiss Brian. I'll pay that money.
Yes. The reverse kissing booth, right? I will pay to not have to kiss that dude. Absolutely so. 844-580-WDBO. Mike is joining us and I'm guessing you're calling from Fruitland Park. Mike, you're on WDBO and you wanted to talk about Maui. Hey, Mike, how are you?
Well, I did until you just brought up everything you did. And I just want to say, Joe, you are one hell of a person.
I appreciate you saying that. And I really do. I am not.
The story you just told made me completely forget why I even called.
You're very kind. You really are, and I appreciate that very much.
I just want to tell you one other thing. I did want to comment on the Maui thing, and I did comment in your post online about shooting the looters.
Yes, and Facebook evidently didn't like that.
No, they blocked my account.
Yeah, that stinks.
So as long as you knew that, I just want to let you know that, I mean, to me, that sucks because I listen to you guys every day because you and Laurel and Paul are awesome.
I appreciate that, Mike. Thank you so much, man. You're just the greatest. So thank you. I'm Joe Kelley. We'll continue. It's the Joe Kelley Show here on WDBO.
The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO. Now, WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580. Triple Team Traffic.
Still seeing a little bit of slowing now, I-4 westbound as you make your way through Lake Mary. It's gotten a lot better than it was just even 10 minutes ago. You still have that minor tap of the brakes between Princeton and Colonial, but eastbound and the 408 are looking up to speed as you make your way through downtown. They still have those lanes shut down in Bithlo on Colonial approaching County Road 419, but again, that's also getting a lot better. This report sponsored by Staples Stores. At Staples, school savings are always in session, from art supplies and essentials to the latest tech, in stock and priced low. School on, save on at your local Staples store. From the WDBO Triple Team Traffic Center, I'm Paul Cross.
Now,
Americans are consuming alcohol at a steady rate. Gallup's latest consumption habits poll shows that 62% of Americans say they had occasion to use alcoholic beverages such as liquor, wine, or beer. That's in line with its findings for more than 8 decades that the company's been tracking the number. Two. A group of divers who went missing in North Carolina are safe after being rescued by the Coast Guard and Navy. According to the U.S. Coast Guard, they found the 4 men 46 miles southwest of Cape Fear River. They had gone diving from a recreational boat about 63 miles from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. One. Drivers are shelling out more at the gas pumps as it's climbing towards the $4 mark. AAA says the national average for regular gas hit $3.85. That's the highest it's been since last October, and it hits right before that Labor Day weekend when millions of Americans will be taking road trips.
Michael, thank you for your phone call. That was really great, and I appreciate that. Debbie, is that right? That's right? $100 a minute? Is that right? I can't math while I'm on the air. I need to be more focused to do math. But that sounds right? $100 a minute?
Yeah, I'm 99% sure that's right.
$100 a minute times 60 would be $6,000 an hour. Yeah, that's right. Whew, $100 a minute. That's a lot of money.
Thank you, Stephanie. That's sweet. Thank you.
We can do it. All right, I'm not going to. Are yours? Well, my lights are off, so. Laurel, did your lights flicker in there?
I'm talking to both of your rooms. Yes, those lights have been, not today, but those lights in that producer room have been flickering since Saturday, and it's the back ones that are flickering.
Oh, so maybe it's just the bulbs and not, okay, not a systemic problem.
Yeah, they're giving me like epilepsy on Saturday. I had to shut them off because I'd be looking at my board, I'd see flashes, and I'm like, what is happening?
Have I told you guys how hungry I am? I don't think I've mentioned that yet. I am so hungry right now.
Is there really a day when you're not
I
hungry?
think I'm going to pass out. I'm going to lose consciousness.
First of all, Paul said, is there a day you're not hungry? And that's true. But on days like this, do you wait to get home to have dinner with your wife, or do you like pick something up and eat on your way home and then eat with Ronnie?
It's funny you ask. She has changed her diet and her eating time to accommodate me. And she realizes that that was a mistake because I eat very late because I don't get off there till 7. I sometimes don't eat till 8 or 9. And then she eats late and she eats what I eat. Well, we're on very different diets. I have to have a high calorie, high carbohydrate diet just to keep weight on. And so she is unhappy that she has gained weight since we got married because she was trying to accommodate me. So we're pretty much not eating dinner together anymore. not on weeknights, because she likes to eat earlier in the day at 3 or 4 or 5, where I eat at 8, 9, or 10. So yeah. So to answer your question, I may stop on the way home and grab a cheeseburger and just eat it in the car on the way home. In fact, that sounds so good right now, a cheeseburger. Here's what I want. I want a cheeseburger from Wendy's, but I want the French fries from McDonald's.
Seminole, Osceola, and all of Central Florida. Join the conversation now by using the open mic in the WDBO app. Now, the Joe Kelley Show on Orlando's News and Talk, WDBO.
Oh, have you guys heard about the Skittles thing? So evidently Skittles, the little candies, is sparking outrage after they released some pro-LGBTQ packaging. People are calling on consumers to, quote, Bud Light them. Now, as fate would have it, I don't eat Skittles. I don't drink Bud Light. I wish somebody would try to Bud Light something that I actually consume, that I actually use, and then I could make a decision about whether or not I want to boycott them. I already boycott Skittles because I don't eat Skittles. It's sugar, and I don't eat sugar, so I don't have that. I don't drink Bud Light because I don't drink beer. But evidently, Ronald says drones. If I had to boycott drones, that might be problematic. If suddenly someone comes out against these Chinese-made drones, which actually people have kind of come out against these Chinese-made drones, and all of my drones are Chinese-made because at the moment, they make the best drones, quite frankly. The DJI drones are the best. Though there are some American brands that are making great strides in becoming better drone companies and better for consumer drones. In fact, no, I don't want to get off on a tangent about drones because nobody cares. So Skittles, let's talk about Skittles. So Skittles, evidently, now their parent company is the Wrigley Company. Wrigley is owned by Mars. Mars is M&M and, Mars, M&M Mars. They have sparked outrage after they switched the traditional rainbow packaging for messages and illustrations that promote the LGBTQ community. The packages are now black and white, and the packaging has phrases such as Black Trans Lives Matter and Joy is Resistance. I'm not even sure what Joy is Resistance even means. At least I understand what Black Trans Lives Matters means, but I don't understand Joy is Resistance. They're designed in a collaboration with the Gay and Lesbian Alliance Against Defamation. And this is the 4th year that Skittles has worked with an organization to promote LGBTQ sentiment. But it's the first year since the Bud Light fiasco. And it's the first year that I think a lot of social conservatives are on edge, waiting with bated breath, waiting for anybody to promote anything that resembles LGBTQ or BLM. I don't know, but Skittles, if I'm not mistaken, again, I don't consume the product, but if I'm not mistaken, they have forever used the phrase, taste the rainbow. Taste the rainbow. Is it taste or catch? Catch the rainbow, taste the rainbow? Anyway, if it's taste the rainbow, haven't they always been LGBTQ? If it's taste the rainbow, didn't the LGBTQ community kind of hijack the rainbow from, I don't know, God? Didn't God create the rainbow as a sign to man that he would never break his covenant, that he would never flood the earth again, he would never do what he did again? I mean, that's what the rainbow symbolizes. But people claim that the LGBTQ community has hijacked that from God. I don't think anybody can hijack anything, frankly, from God. But I was reading some of the Twitter comments, and people are really upset with Skittles. One writes, Skittles is trying to turn your kids into BLM and LGBTQ plus activists. Their packaging also features a drag queen. I've not seen that part of it. Skittles has gone completely woke. WTF is this crap on a candy wrapper? Somebody, and I love when people tag the global partners, the global organizations, but somebody says, give at Mars Global and at Bud Light treatment. Someone else says, I'm done with Skittles. That's about it. But I'll be glad one day when somebody boycotts a product or service that I actually use, and I can make a decision then at that point whether or not I want to boycott something. I'm not a big fan of boycotts. I generally don't use a whole lot of products and services as it is anyway. So, but one of these days, I was going to sound like, oh, new boycotts. Oh, I don't use that product anyway. Oh, a new boycott is, oh, I don't use that product anyway. Doggone it. So one of these days, someone is going to want to boycott a product that I do use. What would that be? You know what? I really like Jif peanut butter. If somehow Jif peanut butter, if I had to boycott Jif peanut butter, I might be in a hard place, to be honest with you. You can hit me up at 844-580-WDBO. It's 844-580-9326. Use the open mic in the WDBO app. Look for the Joe Kelley Show podcast wherever you get your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and more.
This is WDBO.
WDBO.
107.3 FM and AM 580.
Good evening, 6:30 here at WDBO. Our top story, White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre reacting today to the appointment of a special counsel in the investigation of President Biden's son, Hunter, and signs that investigations are far from over. ABC's Jay O'Brien has more.
The White House press secretary underscoring, as the White House often does, that the newly named special counsel's investigation is independent and the attorney in charge was appointed by former President Trump.
The White House hasn't been involved, just to be clear again. I will say this, and you've heard this from the president, is that he loves his son. And he is proud of him overcoming his addiction.
The press secretary also blasting congressional Republicans, who she says have found no evidence of a link between President Biden and his son's business dealings, despite repeated investigations. Jay O'Brien, ABC News, the White House.
Well, the White House is also facing a lawsuit after changing the rules to allow them to deny an African reporter's press pass renewal.
The White House changed the rules in May to allow a White House press pass to be rescinded for the first time in history. Today News Africa reports it comes after African reporter Simon Ateba began shouting his questions because he had been ignored by the White House press secretary for 9 months. The news outlet claims Ateba's emails go unanswered and he's been restricted from attending all of the president's events, including press conferences. Ateba filed a discrimination lawsuit after the White House refused to renew his press pass. The suit calls the discrimination content-based regulation and viewpoint discrimination, which violate his First Amendment rights. I'm Rebecca Hughes.
The 5th annual WDBO Make-A-Wish Wishathon coming up Friday, August 25th. You can join Joe Kelley as he broadcasts live for this one-day Wishathon event at Urban Air Adventure near Cranes Roost Park in Altamont Springs from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. A special thanks to City Kia of Greater Orlando. Open up that WDBO app now. Tap the Make-A-Wish button for Wishathon details and to donate. 6:32 here at WDBO. Marla, to answer your question from a while ago, yes, Joe Kelley does eat spaghetti for breakfast because he doesn't actually have breakfast. He doesn't eat breakfast. He doesn't like breakfast foods. And so his first meal of the day, which he calls lunch 1, happens at like 10 a.m. and it's spaghetti. And then he eats lunch 2 at like 2 or 3 o'clock, and that's lunch 2. And then he eats dinner. So he doesn't even actually have a breakfast. And that's why it's spaghetti at 10 a.m. Though that said, when we used to work the morning show, he would also eat spaghetti at like 6 a.m. So remember when you used to eat spaghetti at like 6 a.m. when we do the morning show?
Do I? Yes, of course I remember. That's what I had today was spaghetti. That was my an open mic says spaghetti is something I could boycott.
But do you have a favorite spaghetti? Like, do you like only eat Barilla, or like no, any spaghetti will do?
There's a certain way I like it prepared. So I like a red sauce. I need ground beef in it because I need the protein. Otherwise, it's pure carbs, and that is bad. So I need good nutrients. So I make sure there's ground beef in it. But then I like to add a cream sauce to it. And I don't mix it up so it's a pink sauce. I like to have red sauce on one side and a white sauce on the other side. And I dab a little bit of each. I know. I'm weird. I am very weird. I like garlic. In fact, I used to live near, oh my gosh. Gilroy, California. Gilroy, California is the garlic capital of the world. And I've been to the garlic festival there at McDonald's. Oh no. Don't say that, Karen. I like McDonald's, man. I love a Big Mac. Oh, I just thought of this. Have you guys heard how hungry I am? I am so hungry right now. Ow, that hurt.
At least you didn't smack your head on the desk again.
That's exactly what I did.
Oh, I thought you just bent in a funny way and you're old, so it
No,
hurt.
I hit my head on the desk. So they used to have garlic flavored ice cream. I kid you not, they would make garlic flavored ice cream. And that was gross.
I would try
Gross.
garlic anything.
But I will tell you, when you drive through Gilroy, California, you go, it smells like an Italian restaurant. You're like, oh my gosh, Gilroy, California smells so good.
I bet everybody there is hungry all of the time.
How could you not? It's like when people work in an office next to a Subway sandwich shop and they bake the bread all day. I feel like smelling that baked bread all day, or next to a cookie store and you smell cookies baking. Oh my gosh, I would freak out. And I do prefer my spaghetti with angel hair. Or what's the other one? You used to work at an Italian restaurant, Laurel, if you call Olive Garden Italian.
Capellini?
What's it called?
Capellini?
Is that spaghetti shaped, long, skinny? There's a long, skinny spaghetti noodle that's in between angel hair and spaghetti in thickness.
I think that's Capellini.
Capellini. But I like thinner noodles.
You know, they have thin spaghetti too. That's a thing too.
Oh, you know what? I think it's thin spaghetti. I think
Could
that's
be,
what
yeah.
it is.
Meteorologist George Waldenberger.
Now, WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580. Triple Team Traffic.
We are up to speed now. I-4, both directions between Lake Mary and downtown. Looking pretty good. We do have some slowdowns, though. I-4 westbound between Sand Lake and 535, and then past World Drive. This report sponsored by HCA Florida Healthcare. Sharp stomach pain? Advice is here. Consultant nurse answers. Advice around the clock for you. Consultant nurse. HCA Florida Healthcare. They show up for you. Call 844-706-8773. It's free. From the WDBO Triple Team Traffic Center, I'm Paul Cross.
This is WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580. Orlando's news and talk. Talk and discussion on the latest breaking national news.
Crude oil prices continue to fall.
Local news.
You're not going to have Disney have its own government in Central Florida?
And stories that matter to you. Use the open mic in the WDBO app and let your voice be heard on the Joe Kelley Show.
There really has to be a better name, a better word to use to describe an ex-wife than ex-wife. I just don't like that term. I don't like the term ex-wife. It doesn't sound nice. It doesn't sound kind. So I don't like it.
Hey, Joe, the mother of your children would be called in the hood your baby mama.
Yeah, I'm not calling her my. I'm not. am not calling her my baby mama. Okay. And Laurel and Paul, you guys know how when we get open mics, sometimes people question things that we say on the radio, right?
Yes.
Well, in this particular case, someone is questioning a single word that I used, and I thought it was interesting.
Joe.
Yes.
The term swimmingly. Where did that come from? I mean, you used it, so it's got to be legit because you can really do no wrong. But where did swimmingly come from? Do tell.
All right. So I feel like that generally speaking, we have the vocabulary that our parents had, right? I mean, I find myself using words all the time, and I can hear my dad saying the same words, or I can hear my mom saying the same words. So I think most of our vocabularies come from our parents.
You steal a lot of your dad's jokes too.
Oh, please. I stole all of my dad's jokes, and my dad stole all of his jokes from his dad, and he stole all of his jokes from his dad. We've been telling the same stupid jokes for generations of Kellys. But I honestly don't know where I picked up the word swimmingly. I don't think it's a word that my parents use, but swimmingly means satisfactorily or smoothly. Something is going smoothly. Something is going swimmingly. And because of the open mic, I decided to look it up. The use of the word swim to mean glide smoothly with little apparent effort gave us the adverb swimmingly in the early 17th century. So swimmingly is a word. I use it, and frankly, you should be using it too. Or not. I really don't care if you want to use the word swimmingly or not. But it does seem to be a word that I frequently use, yes. And then we were talking about boycotting. People want to boycott Skittles now because of they have LGBTQ packaging. And there's nothing really that there's nothing of all the boycotts that are going on right now from social conservatives, especially, there's nothing that I could boycott because I don't use any of those products or services.
Hey, Joe, something that you could boycott? Spaghetti.
No! I will never be able to boycott spaghetti. But spaghetti could full on endorse terrible things, and I would still enjoy spaghetti. Spaghetti is a big part of my life. You know, us Irish people, we love Italian food, right? So I can't get enough of spaghetti.
We actually have homemade spaghetti tonight, Joe.
Stop
That's
it.
what we're having.
Stop it.
That's what we're having.
Stop.
You're invited over.
I am so hungry, right? I am
homemade sauce, as my wife would say it, homemade sauce.
I am so hungry right now. By the way, has anybody got their power bills yet for the month of July and August? August, you won't have that bill yet, but man, people are going nuts with their July utility bills, their July energy bills. And there's a big thread on Reddit, how people's FPL bills have gone up 20%. I'm still on a 55 West, the downtown apartment complex. I'm still on a couple of their text groups, and everybody is complaining about how their electricity bills have doubled in the month of July. And everybody's energy bills are going absolutely through the roof. Now, we've been in quite a heat wave here in these past few weeks, but the energy companies are raising the prices. And just reading some of these, like this thread here on Reddit, our 4-bedroom was $189, including taxes, for the 32-day cycle in July. We have double pane windows, 2 times insulation, blown over batted, LED lighting, SEER 20 heat pump, newer ductwork, new water heater, Energy Star appliances, and we keep our programmable thermostat at 78 by the day and 76 at night. Holy smokes, 78 and 76? What do you keep your thermostat at, Paul?
Ours is reluctantly around 73, 74.
Yeah. Laurel,
I can't have it hot. There's no way. I can't even sleep. When it's warm, I can't sleep.
No.
Yeah, ours is 72, 73, something like that.
Our new place we're in now, we live out in West Orange County now in the Hamlin area, and when our air conditioner is on, it feels like it's 20 below zero in the place. When it's off, it feels like it's 10,000 degrees. So,
well, you are in a 55 and over community, and they have those issues with the thin skin, you know.
They do. We're the youngest couple in a 55 plus community. So every time I see someone, they're like, I need to see your ID. I don't think you're old enough to be here. I'm like, yeah, well, too bad. I'm old enough. But we keep it at night. We keep it at about 72 or 71. And during the day, about 73, 74. But we moved out in mid-July. So I don't have a whole July energy bill to be able to compare it to. I got like half of a July energy bill. Let us know about yours. 844-580-WDBO or use the open mic in the WDBO app.
The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO. Now, WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580. Triple Team Traffic.
Well, it's still pretty good news. Everything looking swimmingly on I-4 both directions between Lake Mary and through Longwood, Altamont Springs, and Winter Park. We also have some brake lights, though, as we make our way past Dr. Phillips, I-4 westbound between Sand Lake and 535. That's your normal slow area, as well as past World Drive. ProTech Air Conditioning and Plumbing Service for honesty, integrity, and 100% customer satisfaction. Call ProTech 407-291-1644 or visit ProTech AC.com. From the WDBO Triple Team Traffic Center, I'm Paul Cross.
David Krejci is retiring from the Boston Bruins. In a social media post this morning, 37-year-old Krejci thanked Bruins fans in the city of Boston for always treating him like nothing but respect. Krejci played 15 full NHL seasons and played 1,032 games with the Bruins. A flash mob robbery is under investigation in L.A. The LAPD says a mob of 30 to 50 people entered a Nordstrom's late last week and began ransacking the store. The suspects reportedly fled with between $60,000 to $100,000 worth of merchandise. A Hawaii congresswoman who represents Maui is calling the apparent siren failure during the wildfires tragic. Speaking on CBS's Face the Nation, Jill Takuda calls the sirens the first line of defense. Takuda said they're tested at the beginning of each month, and if any don't blare, they get fixed.
By the way, those two pilots that ejected from that MiG-23 at that air show over the weekend, I think that was bad. That was bad. I think that you have a duty. I should mention this on the air. You have a duty. You have a responsibility to the people on the ground. Now, as fate would have it, nobody died on the ground, but their MiG-23 crashed into an apartment complex, and both pilots ejected the second there was a problem with the plane. I'm sorry, but you should go down with a plane in that scenario and steer that thing as best you can away from populated areas. But the jet went right into an apartment complex.
I saw a pilot die in an air show once when I was very little, but it's a core memory in my brain.
How could it not be? Yeah, those are, you remember the outrageous, not the mundane, and that is outrageous.
We never went to an air show again after that.
Yeah. Air shows are always hot, long, and tiring. Yeah. I asked Ronald to read that. Thank you, Marla. Done. Thank you.
I love air shows when I'm not there. Me too. I love the idea of air shows. Michael, that's a good question. What the electric bill is here at the studio? I have no idea. No idea whatsoever. I bet it's a lot.
Yeah.
We keep everything plugged in 24/7, and we did, Karen. We don't anymore. I took care of that. I had to get an interpreter in first.
I was going to say something. Every time I try to say something, I have to remember that Joe can't hear me anyway.
Do you guys know that I am so hungry? So I think I'm going to go to the Wendy's and get a cheeseburger, and then I'm going to go to McDonald's and get the French fries. That's funny, Michael. We have a troll, but you got restricted. We have one guy on our team that speaks Spanish, and I was reading it to him, and I was like, can you tell me what this says? And he said the first part of it sounded like a prayer, but then the second part of it was just weird. And then he went to the guy's website, and there's weird stuff there. And so, yeah, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You can disagree.
It must mean we're getting popular.
We don't at all mind people who disagree. In fact, we thrive on people who disagree, but we don't like trolls. Where was that air show, Laurel? Was that Minnesota or something? Wisconsin?
I thought it was Michigan, but I don't know.
I can't remember.
Michigan.
It was Michigan. See, Joe can't hear me, and he still got me.
To Orange, Seminole, Osceola, and all of Central Florida. The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO.
I love your show every night. You're doing great, bud.
So I don't want to be too quick to judge. This is one of those situations where unless you're there, you may not fully understand this. But if you guys have seen the video of the two pilots that ejected from a MiG-23 at an air show in Belleville, Michigan Sunday, it certainly, to me, as a casual observer, looks like those pilots ejected way too quickly from that flight. In that, the plane collided with nobody on board the plane. The plane crashed into an apartment complex. Now, as fate would have it, remarkably, a miracle, a blessing from God, nobody was injured in the apartment complex. One of the pilots was injured. There's two pilots on board the MiG-23. One of the pilot, they both ejected, and one of them is injured. But nobody, I don't know how that happens. Nobody on the ground was injured. But I firmly believe that if you're going to be flying a MiG-23 over an air show, if you're flying anything over an air show, if you're flying anything over populated areas, and you have the capacity to eject, I feel like you have a responsibility to the people on the ground to go down with the plane and to steer that plane as best as you can until the absolute last second. Clearly there was a problem with the MiG, because the MiG made a popping sound. You can hear it on the video. The MiG makes a popping sound, and within a fraction of a second, and there's a little puff of smoke comes out of the engine along with the popping sound, and within a fraction of a second of that, these two pilots eject. And they were already pretty low to the ground as it was anyway. But I found it to be frustrating that they didn't stay with the plane and try to, as best as you can, steer it and try to crash it somewhere where there aren't people, like an apartment complex. And again, I don't want to be too overly passionate about this opinion, in that there might be details that I'm unaware of. But man, that just is bad when you eject out of a plane and let it crash into an apartment complex. Paul, you want to add something?
Well, I was going to say I grew up in San Diego, and we grew up going to the Blue Angels at Miramar, where they do Top Gun.
Used to.
And used to.
It's in the Nevada desert now, which is ridiculous.
But it used to be done over all this hugely populated area.
Yeah.
I mean, I had friends who had houses, and they would just, okay, well, it's Blue Angels time, and right over their house. I don't recall, but maybe a couple of crashes in the first 20 years that I was there, but still tragic.
And I would hope that someone who's flying one of the Blue Angels would at least stay with the aircraft as long as they can to try to steer it away from population centers. I mean, I think people who fly planes and helicopters and drones, for that matter, have a duty to the people on the ground to not hurt people on the ground. I'm Joe Kelley. The third hour of the Sean Hannity Show is next on WDBO.
Now, WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580. Triple Team Traffic.
Well, we will end the Joe Kelley Show on a good note. Things are looking pretty good right now. We do have some minor slowing I-4 westbound Sand Lake to 535, and then as you make your way before and after World Drive heading toward Champions Gate. This report sponsored by Open House Home Insurance. Getting your home insured in Florida could be a nightmare. With Open House Home Insurance, you can get a free quote online and see hundreds you could be saving in no time. Start savings today at openhouseinsurance.com. This advertisement does not constitute a binding offer or guarantee of coverage. From the WDBO Triple Team Traffic Center, I'm Paul Cross.
WDBO
Well, I think we ended a little bit earlier than I had thought tonight. So, but we needed to, evidently. So anyhow, I'm going to go eat. Here's a big surprise. This just in. Joe Kelley is hungry. I'm going to go eat. I'm going to get a burger at Wendy's and French fries at McDonald's and a Coke and I'll get a Pepsi at Taco Bell. I don't think so. I want a root beer at Taco Bell. Okay. Anyhow, y'all have a great night. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. We had a record-setting video tonight. We're in the ones and ones of people now watching us, so we're very, very excited about that. Y'all have a great night. We can't wait to see you tomorrow. Thanks, guys.